Hi everyone. I get plenty of questions from my viewers asking me what cameras I use and what equipment I use to record my videos. So we're going to have a look today. My go-to camera that I've been using for the last year or so has been the Sony a6400. Its dynamic range and its all-round ability is perfect for what I do. Now, it's got no active stabilization, so you have to be careful in what scenarios that you do actually use it. I honestly usually use it in situations like this where I'm just sitting still and just talking towards the camera, but it is really good in low light, especially with the lens that I've got is this Sigma 16mm. It's a 1.4 aperture, so that gives us good ability in low light. I've got a couple of other lenses, but one I tend to use quite a bit again is the Sony 18-105, and that's better if I'm looking at something a little bit further away that I want to get pictures of. Another useful part of the a6400 is the flip up screen, so you can see exactly what's happening and what's going on within your frame. Battery life isn't particularly good, however it can be charged whilst recording, but as with many of these video cameras that I'm going to explain about today, they can overheat, but the a6400 is top notch. My go-to action cam for the last 2 or 3 years has been the Sony FDR X3000. It's got in-body stabilization, so any footage that you're going to be recording within the car is transformed into a nice smooth image. Battery life isn't the best, but it again can be plugged in, but like with the a6400, when you can plug it in and you actually record, it heats up, and then there's always heating up issues, especially when you're recording at 4K. I have had a few instances where this camera shut off, even on errands lessons. It was used quite a bit for errands lessons, and I had a few situations where it shut off and it caused problems with recording a clip. What else? Well, you would have thought that you can't see how things are framed, but you do get, with certain packages, this screen with it as well. As you can see, even when the camera is pointed in different directions, you can see exactly what's happening and what's going on with it. It is also a brilliant camera for mounting even at the side, because it doesn't interrupt what we're doing actually when we're driving the car. Some of the other GoPro-like cameras do protrude a little more, so this one's perfect, and honestly you can see why many of the car YouTubers use this product. So it's the Sony FDR X3000, cracking piece of kit. I need often a couple of action cameras going when I'm recording videos. Often there's one from behind looking forward and there's another one looking at me. It's not always possible to use the bigger Sony camera. Like I said, it's not stabilized, so stabilization is all important. And this next camera, the DJI Osmo Action, is electronically stabilized also. The footage from it is really good. You can shoot 4K 60 frames a second. It's excellent, no problems. Battery life, again, is pretty poor. You can plug it in, but again, it suffers with the same problems as the Sonys that I've just talked to you about, that when you plug it in, especially recording at 4K, it heats up that much. It often shuts down without warning, which is no good if you're recording that piece of footage. Screen wise, it's very good. You've got a screen on the back, as you can see. No problems with that, but if you want to switch and have a little look at what you're recording from the front, it also has got a screen on the front. These threads and these filters are replaceable as well, so you can change how you get the look of your video just by changing them as well. Pretty decent value also, even compared to the Sony. The Sony is a little bit more expensive, but this is a little bit of a cheaper option. Is it quite the image quality of the Sony? Not quite, but it's definitely worth a buy if you're interested. One of my latest purchases has been another action cam, but it's a little bit more flexible than that. It's the Insta360 1R. You may have seen these. Cracking little piece of kit, detachable battery, and I think they call it a modular system. So what you can do with this, you can actually break it apart. You can have the screen faced one way or the other. So if you want the screen from behind, you can have it, or switching it round, you can have the screen from the front as I had it before. The batteries are interchangeable. I've also got the bigger battery, the boosted battery, which is pretty important, to be honest, because battery life isn't the best. This battery makes it a lot more usable out in the car. I wouldn't have to have this charging up whilst I was recording. If I wanted to take this out, I could quite happily do an hour's lesson with this battery, recording with this. Have I had any issues overheating with this? No. And the other thing with this particular camera, it comes with a 360 mod as well. What I mean by that, so I've swapped the camera around and you've got a 360 camera now positioned on the end. And again, the battery just clips into the bottom. This can be mounted quite comfortably. You've got a couple of little tabs down here which can then mount it to any GoPro mount, so it can be attached anywhere. But what this allows me to do is, mounted anywhere in the car, it records the footage, and then after you've recorded it on the computer back home, you can choose where it points. So it's really useful. You can add movement to it, and it's given us an extra little bit of versatility on recording these videos. What I have found with the 360 camera, though, the image isn't quite as sharp as maybe the other action cameras or bigger cameras, and low light performance isn't the best. So it's got its place, and I use it occasionally, but probably not as much as I thought I would. And that's the Insta360 1R. It's an expensive toy, but it adds a little bit of variety. A piece of kit that I tend not to use a lot in the car, because the legalities behind it, is your phone. Okay, I know they record amazing video nowadays, they really do. They're absolutely immense on what they're like and the quality of the video, but I tend not to use it. All right, I'm okay here, sat in the car park, the car's off, and it's fine. But the legalities of me using a phone whilst I'm driving are clear to see. However, I do use it occasionally for maybe some slow-mo stuff or some B-roll outside of the car. So camera, phone, probably 10% of my use. I am going to use my phone, however, to record and show you a couple of the other things. This is the latest thing that I've actually bought, and it's the Sony ZV-1. I've actually purchased this with the driving of the lorries in mind. It's really a vlogging camera. You can stick it out in front of your face and actually record yourself in that particular way quite nicely. And I'm going to use this potentially when I'm doing the lorry stuff. Obviously not what I'm driving, but in between, using it to have a little look at maybe the maintenance checks or certain things around the lorry. That's what I've bought this camera for. But I'm using it today to do the main video. So it's really important as well to have the cameras mounted properly, and this windscreen mount that I've got, it's made by Hague camera mounts, and it's a pretty robust thing, as you can see. It's really solid, it sticks, it's never fell off, it's a cracking thing. So I use that for all main things. There are a few other mounts that I use. This one here is the headrest mount. Again, it's made by Hague. It's adjustable, it can be taken off. As you can see, it's just mounted. Got little screws onto the head restraint there. I have had to replace this this ball at the end. That did fail on the original one, but it wasn't a big deal to actually get that replaced. And that's used a lot mounting action cameras too. I do use other suction mounts as well. I've got a few different types, but these are this one is the main one that I use, and it's made by Joby. I do have the other version made by Joby as well, but this one is much more solid. This tends to shake and move a fair bit more with how this is designed. This is a much more solid and secure mount. You can actually change it to have your action cam pointing whichever direction that you want. The suction mounts are excellent on them. They're not the cheapest mounts. There are other alternatives that you can probably buy online that do a similar thing, but honestly, cracking piece of kit. Audio is massively important, and I've found that throughout the years. Gee whiz, I remember my first video that I ever did on the Broadway roundabouts, or the double roundabouts in Norris Green. The information that I gave was pretty good, but you couldn't hear anything because the audio was awful. So audio is a big thing. I've learned that, and I use a few different products to actually record audio. The first one is this one down here. I'm actually recording all of this on this Zoom H1N recorder, and as you can see, I've got it linked into my car, and there's a little lav mic here that I'm actually recording the audio of this video, but I do use other products as well. The Rode Video Micro mic is something that I use a fair bit. It's a great directional mic. It can be attached on top of the camera. When I'm actually driving, however, I've occasionally used this mic, and if I'm looking at a junction and moving side to side, the audio level drops off because I'm not actually projecting my voice towards this microphone. So that's, again, another sit still one. I do use other Rode gear as well. This little bit of kit, the Rode Wireless Go, is an amazing little piece of kit. This one connects to your camera, and then you can stick this one wherever you like. There's like a little microphone in there as well that you can actually hold, or I sometimes clip it up onto the wire of my dash cam. You can actually put a lav mic into this as well and clip it on your top, but it transmits the audio to your camera and records it within the device, or you can actually record it again back down on the zoom if you want the zoom in your pocket also. So audio is a massive part of making videos, and that's the equipment that I use. And that's not everything as well. I've got a few older cameras which I haven't bothered talking about, but I still use them occasionally, maybe for time lapses and bits and bobs. I am going to leave all the links in the description, and if you could support the channel, if you're thinking of buying any of these cameras or mics or mounts, it would be much appreciated if you purchase them through my links, because I get a tiny little bit from your purchase, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Is there any questions that you've got on the equipment that I use and how I go about using it? It's been a big learning process for me over the years to actually produce these videos, and cameras, honestly, especially the Sony ones with the eye autofocus, makes things really easy. That's all that I'm trying to do effectively when I'm purchasing this camera equipment. With what I've explained about today, there's plenty of options for me to just pick up that appropriate camera. I need one over the shoulder, we're on the move, so I'll probably go for the Sony. I need one facing me, we're on the move, I'm going to go for the Insta360, and it's an easy thing for me to now just to pick up the correct camera, correct equipment, microphone, and away we go. And we can do things quite easily nowadays, but it does take a while for you to pick up what suits you. Now, the information that I've given you is just from my perspective on how I use them. These cameras may have better uses in different scenarios, so don't think what you're going to use them for means, my opinion, is going to discount them for you. They could be cracking pieces of kit for what you're going to use them for, so don't discount them on that basis. Again, questions, if you've got anything, please ask in the comments. I'll always try and get round to them. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope to see you soon.